is a space that was not designed for us to be in those roles of leadership. And when we do break those glass ceilings in those spaces, it becomes a space that is made that makes us feel very uncomfortable.
Welcome to Wine and Liberations, the podcast that uncorks the world of fine wines and explores the art of living a liberated life. I am your host, affectionately known as Dee. I am a wife, mother, business owner, and I am thrilled to be one of your guides on this captivating journey.
And I am your other host, the Professor Bae. I am a mother, college professor, writer, and creator. Grab your wine, relax, be yourself, catch a vibe, and let us guide you as you get liberated.
Welcome back. We are back with episode 2, season 2 of the Wine and Liberation podcast. So let's go to episode 2 before we jump into a topic of many discussions going on the internet. So
yes,
episode 2.
Oh, you so fancy. You got a straw. I'm bare lipped. You know,
I have to have a straw. I have Invisalign. And so when I'm drinking anything outside of water, I have to drink it with a straw. So.
But it's still fancy. I feel like I should get one. Add that to my list with a straw. Yes. So let's dive in because this is a very near and dear topic to my heart. I do follow News One. Do you follow News One? They're really big on highlighting any type of Black news going on. So they're like my go-to. So recently, HBCU VP who died by suicide, it has been alleged or has been proven that she has submitted numerous complaints about bullying, and they were ignored. Her name is Dr. Antoinette Bonnie Cadet Bailey. She died on Monday. It has sparked outrage on the Lincoln University campus, and the university is receiving outpour for the community, calling for the resignation of the president, as well as student affairs is speaking up on suicide awareness and basically what action should have been done from a woman that is in upper management, or let's say almost corporate management, who took the correct avenues to get help, to say she need help, and still was failed. I don't even know where to begin.
Well, let's, send a condolences to her family and her students and, all the lives that she impacted over the course of her tenure in higher ed and in corporate America. And like you said, it's just so much to digest and dissect. Like, where do we begin with the conversation? It is definitely a lot going on in the news surrounding Black women in corporate America and Black women in higher ed. Because previous to this, Harvard had their first Black woman president, and she has since been, if you look at it, pushed out and kind of forced to resign. Yes, as and against allegations of plagiarism. She apparently plagiarized some of her graduate thesis that came up all of a sudden, and so she was kind of forced to
based on her
resign.
Response.
Yeah,
I just highlight that this was all pointed out based on her response. When it came to I don't want to misquote it. They asked her kind of about maybe anti-Semitism or Jews. Some type of like minority representation, and her response was spot on. It was very, it wasn't emotionally attached. It was a safe response. She did not choose a side. It would have been the correct response had anybody else given it. But my take on it is because she did not pick a side. She has now been bullied out of her position. and she left. Now, I don't know if she bowed out gracefully, but from the part of the story we know, she did resign and wash her hands with Harvard.
Yeah.
But even to address Lincoln it raises more eyebrows, because we were always taught HBCUs were a safe space for us to operate within a capacity of our own. And this is even letting us know that even within our spaces that we have created, there's no safe space for Black women in hierarchy of education or even the corporate ladder. We're not safe. Even when you take the proper precautions to create a paper trail, because essentially that's what she was doing, even the paper trails are dismissed. Your cries for help are dismissed. I hate that it had to end in suicide, because that means she suffered from what a lot of us do, and it's hard to disassociate ourselves from our work. Our work becomes our identity. It's a lot of things that we do and say and how we move is based upon our career choices. And I went through a similar incident in the latter year of 2023, where I just kind of felt like, is this path the correct path for me? I will not be frank about it. I have cried plenty of tears operating in this corporate space of the imposter syndrome. Who am I? What am I representing? Why am I allowing this to happen? And why am I trying to speak up and I'm being backdoored, or the narrative of what my message is being changed to maybe I'm too sensitive, or why am I taking everything so personal, or it's not that serious. That's just how I see it. This one hurts my heart. I just
so much. Yeah.
I don't even know where to begin. When I was in that space, the first thing I did is I went on PTO. I am not even gonna lie to you. I took a week of PTO with nothing planned. I had nowhere to go. I literally sat in the house and just regroup. I had to find me again, and what do I love? What is my identity? Their thoughts of me at work performance-wise is not truly who I am, and it should not weigh that much on my mental capacity that I'm letting it impact me as hard as it has. But that's much easier said than done.
Yeah. You bring up a great point. A lot of times with Black women in their careers and their professional settings, they don't know how to separate the two. Their identity is tied completely in their roles, completely in their careers, completely in their profession, and it becomes who they are, and they don't know how to identify outside of that. And I, like you, I can relate as well, because when I started Line Journey, I'm a part of higher ed. So I am all too familiar with what these Black women are experiencing in that space. Yeah. Yes, I have done research on this topic as well. And as it stands currently, as of 2023, I believe it's less than 3% of women in higher ed that either have tenure or leadership positions are less than 3%. And that is as of 2023. So higher ed, and much like corporate America, is a space that was not designed for us to be in those roles of leadership. And when we do break those glass ceilings in those spaces, it becomes a space that is made that makes us feel very uncomfortable in those spaces. And so we deal with a lot as we are, attempting to move up that ladder and attempting to, take hold of our career goals and be in these spaces. And so, like you, again, I have experienced that as well. And I think a lot of it starts with the Black woman, having to be strong and having to navigate spaces. Oftentimes, I know for myself, I don't want to be looked at as a quitter. And I think a lot of us can relate to that. We work so hard, and you're strong and you can handle that, and don't allow them to push you out. And so, that has been embedded in us for so long that we have to be strong and we have to stand up. And I think another thing too, as Black women, we are often dehumanized. And so we're not given the same opportunities as our counterpart to actually be human when we are in these spaces. We can't come into work and have a bad day. We can't come into work and be quiet, or we can't come into work with a certain type of look on our face, or it is taken out of context. We're aggressive, or we're being micromanaged, or we have these microaggressions that we deal with on a day-to-day basis in these spaces. And so,
so one, let's take note too that you said 3%. It's a crazy number, friend. Like I don't even know 3%.
Yes, and
that number to me doesn't even. The math is not mathing. We have by far too many African American, Black, women or men, in spaces of education that you would think that a more roundabout number is there. And that is very alarming, because that means the people who are truly at the table making the decisions are not us.
Correct.
So also we see them as teachers in high school and college, but these are still not the people who need to be at the table. That is alarming. What is something we can do to change that?
Well, that is a very, very deep discussion. And I think for us, particularly our generation, a lot of us are just deciding that to get up from the table. A lot of us no longer want a seat at the table. I know for me, my dream or my goal was to ultimately be a dean in higher ed. And so as I started to, navigate these spaces, one of my very first jobs at a large university, I was the only Black woman in the department, and I was the youngest in that department. And I think going into it, I looked at it as an accomplishment initially going into that space, but I soon realized that it was the opposite, because there was a magnifying glass on me. There was a microscope on me. So everything that I did was looked at in detail. So it's almost as if I had to navigate that space being perfect almost. And let's talk about being perfect and what that does to your mental health. It's almost like you have to switch it on when you're in these spaces, and it doesn't allow you to feel anything, because you have to be perfect. I have to do everything perfect because I know I'm being watched. And if I don't, I know someone's going to say something to me or bring me into this space, and then we have a bigger issue here. So being Black women having to be perfect.
Being in healthcare corporate, I'm on a tightrope every day. I am walking a very thin line. As a manager, I am not a micromanager. I am very direct. This is what it is. This is the guidance we need to do. So one feedback that I received from one of my employees, who was a white male, said I am not personable, meaning I do not ask how he is doing. He doesn't know anything about me and my family. I don't take time to check in on him as a person. I accepted the feedback, but opposed to my white counterpart, who is very direct, who has military background, who is very much in a box and yes and no. I literally basically walk the same line that he does. I'm just a Black woman walking the same line as a white male leader. Okay. So if you would ask me my leadership, I am probably the equivalent to a white male. We don't need to do much. I'm very to the point. Let me know if you help me. If you need me, I according to me, the same thing he's doing. But the feedback that he got was none of that. He is a great manager. He is doing well. I believe because I am a woman and it is automatically assumed women should be emotionally tied. That is why I received that feedback. Now, mind you, the same employee that gave me my feedback has to work with both of us. But when asked about his thoughts about this white male, according to me, I am the only one that receives some type of critique that is not tangible. I don't believe you need to know I have children. I'm a strong advocate in once they find out that you have children, they use it against you. You don't need to know I have children.
Correct.
Do you want to know I'm married? Yes, I'm married. For some reason, being married in the corporate world gives you like an extra few points.
Yes.
What do you need to know about him? I will give you the basic things, but even then, you don't need to know me. I am here to complete a job. And they feel like because I am a woman, I should be emotionally tied to it. I'm not. The only thing I'm emotionally tied to is this paycheck. And you can't solve my paycheck. My direct manager can solve my paycheck. But how I am to you, you can't do nothing about my paycheck. So my emotions aren't there. And that is a lot of what we can't handle. You want us to be a woman, but then you want us to walk a fine line. But then you don't want us to be too assertive or too or even you hate for me to be on my shit. You hate
it's catch-22.
Know what I'm talking about.
Catch-22. Yeah.
I am hired in this position for a reason. So then it becomes I'm a know-it-all. No, I know my shit.
And in most cases, we're more credentialed than others. It's almost like we have to be more credentialed to even get in these spaces. And then once we're in those spaces, we're faulted for being overqualified and having our credentials and having our stuff together and being professional and not being emotional. And it's like we cannot win in some of these spaces. Like we can't win for losing.
Right. Resume-wise, I run circles around my white counterparts.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
I'm on lap 10. You just got off the boat.
Yes.
Okay? Yes. Yes. Well, I will say to you, though, I do play into the role, though, because I use ChatGPT to respond to my email. So you want me to be perfect? I got it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I will put as much less thought as this as I can to be perfect. I just refuse to allow that to occupy me anymore. And I used to be like, oh, Jared, you have to have the perfect answer. When I go together, like when I'm out on center visits, I'm making sure that I don't have necessarily the most expensive designer bag. I'm making sure like it's a bag that is like, oh, but it's not questionable enough. Like, how much are they paying you? I'm making sure that like I'm together so it doesn't look too offensive, but enough that you can respect me in my role that I have it together. It's not
to do that. If you want to go to these site visits with the expensive bag, with the Louis V, with the Chanel, you should be able to do that. You should be able to do that. You
the first thing
have
they're
to
going to ask you is how much they paying you.
Yeah. Or what is she doing outside of this? What is she doing outside of this? How is she able to afford this? So in these corporate settings, you have the angry, Black woman narrative. And then you also, which a lot of people don't talk about, you have the quiet, introverted Black women that are often attacked for being introverted. And that was me in some of the corporate spaces that I've been in. She doesn't talk. She's not warm. She's not friendly. She's not a team player, all because I'm introverted. I come to work, I do what I'm supposed to do, and I go home.
But they want to know you, and that's a problem. And even I had my direct report was a white woman, and this is the second time I received this feedback. They don't know me. So the feedback, not that I'm not doing my job, not that I'm not performing, their feedback is I am not open enough that they know who I am. So they feel like if they know who I am, then I'm trustworthy, or that's how they base their opinion off of me. I will never give you the satisfaction to know who I am. That's the damn business. If I can protect anything about myself, and that is going to be who I am and my identity, that's exactly what I'm going to. And the fact that y'all are offended because I will not tell you my personal, my life and where I'm from and my background, that is some white privilege shit.
It is. And I feel like they only want to know to use it against you, like you mentioned earlier. It's not to truly understand you and your management style or your leadership style or you as a person. It's literally going to be used to weaponize you. So it's not because they genuinely care. So, we can go on for days with this topic, as, we've been looking at things across the internet, and Black women all over the world, are commenting and talking about these similar experiences with navigating these spaces. So you mentioned a good point. You said now you use ChatGPT to respond to emails. And so that's a great point. So if you're out there and you're a Black woman navigating these spaces, utilize the resources that are there for you. So something like ChatGPT, where none of the words that you use can be taken out of context.
Yep.
So that's something that you can do. Yep. Another thing that you can do is specifically when it comes to emails, sitting on an email and not responding right away. Yeah, rereading it and thinking through your thought process and how you want to respond. Another thing that you mentioned, taking time off. So taking those days off, using those days as the mental health days to reset and refresh and regather yourself and figure out a game plan on how you want to move forward.
Yeah. I will say this though. So I am saying that, but I have walked away from a job.
Okay.
2 years ago, it was the anniversary of my best friend's death. I had explained to my manager at the time, today's not a good day to me. I probably shouldn't have came into work, but I'm trying to push because, life still has a navigating go on. And she was like, yeah, I understand that, but I still need to talk to you. Oh, so you don't even care. I left. They didn't even know I quit the job. I packed up, cleared out my office. It took them 2 days to realize I walked out that job.
Wow. That's great. Yeah. That's great.
Did.
That's great.
I'm a strong advocate. If you are there, fuck them people. I checked it with my husband. Can I quit? All I saw was a yes, and it was a done deal.
Yeah.
You can only do so much. And if it is starting to affect your peace, your health, or your mental status, fuck that job.
Yeah.
By definition, fuck that job.
Yeah, and we talk about all the time being ready to seize opportunities, but we don't talk about when it's time to let things go. And there are some times when you're in those positions where it's just not worth it and it's time to walk off. And I can tell you, I am also a firm believer in fuck that job, because I have never given a 2-week notice. Okay. Never in the amount of time that I have worked have I ever given a job a 2-week notice.
You don't give me one when you hire. I mean, when you fire me. Correct. If you were to fire me, you do not say 2 weeks from today, we're going to let you go. It's immediately. So guess what? I am immediately telling you to kiss my ass. I surely did.
Yeah.
Surely did walk off that job.
Yeah. I have done that as well. So don't think that that's not an option as well. I know we get so tied down and, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to navigate? What am I going to do? None of that matters if you're not here to do it. Correct. If you're not in your right mind to do it, or if you're on the verge of taking your life over a job, it's not worth it. It will work itself out. If you're in a position where you know that ultimately you need to leave that space, you can plan as much as you need to, but know and understand that is not always an option. Yeah. So you have to look at it as if it's a life or death situation for you, because this is very much what happened in this situation. This was a life or death situation for her. Yeah. And unfortunately, she chose that route, but you don't have to choose that route. Sometimes you have to know, like they say, you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them. You got to know when to let go.
Plan your escape. And even in the moment that I quit, I had already toyed with the thought of I'm over this job. So
typically that happens. It's not just out of the blue. It's not, you don't just wake up and say, I want to quit this job and everything's going well.
I already knew. And then key point is I checked with my spouse though. Like, can I quit? Oh, okay. That's all I need. Like,
and ladies, you might not have a spouse to check.
Yes.
There might not be anyone to check. So check in with yourself.
Yes.
So you have to, check in with you, see where you are, and know when
Or
it's
start
time
to
to
plan
let
your
go.
escape. If you
Yes.
realize that you are getting there, start putting some money to the side. Start applying to other opportunities. See what rent forgiveness and possibly apply for. Plan your escape when it comes to you and your mental health. Because when it affects your mental, it starts to affect your body. And I do believe a lot of these people, if you've ever had a coworker that somehow got cancer or got sick, it's a lot of it has to do with the work environment, and we just don't know how to let it go.
Yeah,
so
festering.
It
festers.
affect you to the point that now you're dealing with more than what you need to because you didn't choose you when you should have.
Yes, always choose you. Always choose you. And I think it's important to never, 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 never allow a role or allow a title to dictate who you are a person. And I had experienced this week. The term whether I believe I did now for 5 years. Fair time for me because it is affecting beginning to affect other areas of able. It's always important to be able to see what's coming. I guess in the last few semesters, the energy has shifted in the environment, and I can tell that there's going to be some friction. It has been a little bit, but I can tell that there's going to be more friction coming down the pipeline. And so for me, I always like to be proactive. And so I like to stay ahead of the game. And so I say, it's time for me to bow out of this space. So before it even gets there, while I still am in my right line, while I still have everything together, this will be the perfect opportunity for me to let it go and move on. And so I think being proactive and being aware of what's going on around you, the changes. If you sense a shift in energy in your environment, start to prepare yourself. And then you're not, dealing with that, or you're not being caught off guard with what's to come.
Well, I just want to publicly acknowledge that I love that for you, that you chose you. That's never easy a decision, especially as hard as you've sacrificed for your career and everything. So I love that for you. I am happy you chose you, and everything will be how it should be. And because you put you first and chose you, you've now redirected your path, and that is a beautiful thing. So I think
let's toast to that.
We should start celebrating just as much as we celebrate wins. We should celebrate when we put us first and walk away, and that calls for just as much of a celebration of anything else, because
and it's symbolic. It's symbolic. I think it's symbolic, and it's happening at this moment. My birthday is in 4 days, so it's like, you're literally stepping into a new chapter. And so why not now? So I'm interested. I've been in this space for higher ed 5 years, education in the classroom for 11 years. And so I'm interested to see, what's to come. And of course, you guys know I have, something up my sleeve.
Down the pipeline. Next episode, it's going to be like, now I'm the dean. So next episode, just give us 2 weeks. Let her come back. It's gonna be something.
Black women. So Black women out there, we're Black women. We're creative by nature. We always have our hands in more than one thing. So just know it is all going to work out.
Yeah, I agree. I woke up this morning and was like, oh, I can create a business off of this. Let's put your services out there right now. So they say,
so believe in yourself. Like you believe in your career.
I think the biggest lie they told us is that you can't reinvent the wheel. The hell you can. The hell you can.
Yeah.
Keep going. Keep reinventing the wheel and adding more to what's already in momentum and where you're already going on that. you can keep adding to it. So,
Yeah. And another thing that you can do is you can adjust your lifestyle. Like if you know that you are going to leave this position and you make a certain amount of money in this position and you're worried about how you can maintain, start to adjust certain areas in your life. Okay, maybe I don't need the top package of, Netflix right now because I'm
need
getting
all of
ready
it.
to shift.
But now I am a strong advocate financially. Yes, that is the message that we should be sending out. But I'm gonna tell y'all, I can't do it. I'm still trying to afford the lifestyle in my mind. One day I'm gonna stop spending money like I sell drugs. So that's why I keep creating these avenues, because I need to afford myself. So yes,
Bang. But
the
don't beat
message
yourself
should be
up if you
sending.
have to readjust. Don't beat
It's
yourself
true.
up if you have to readjust just for a small moment and then get yourself back there. Don't stay in a position that is affecting your life, your life and your mental health just so you can have these things. Yeah, adjust and then come back.
Yes, but you can't sell feet pictures on the internet for $100, ladies. I can't put that out there. Okay?
You can sell your pictures. Yeah,
there are other hustles we can make it happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Look into those
freelance. There's so much out there. You can freelance. Even if you need to go bartend, because I done been there and done that too. You need to go down there and bartend a couple nights to make your rent payment and your car note. That's what you need to do.
Yes, because I would definitely put a girdle on and pop these titties up in a minute to get some bartender money. So absolutely.
Yeah. So know that you have options. Know that you have options out there. Just because we need you here. We need you here, Black woman. We love you. We see you. We feel you. We hear you. We are in this together. So we need you here. And so whatever you need to do so that you are here and you are in a safe space and in your mental health is okay. That's what matters to us.
Yeah. Agreed. To bring it to a closure, though, in all seriousness, I do believe you need to, if you are experiencing issues at work, please create a document trail. By the second or third document trail, that's really all you need to present for your case if you would ever go to employment or if you do have a legal case. If you have gotten to the point where you're unsure what to do, I totally agree with seeking legal counsel on your next steps. If your boss's boss is not answering, go above your boss. Let it out. Let everybody know who you need to know. And then if you realize you've done all that you can do and change is still not happening, bow out gracefully. We can only fight so much in the fight, and the fight should not take you out. So please fight hard enough that you are able to walk away and tell the story. Never let your fight overcome for you, because your fight will be your testimony as you continue to move forward. What's your last?
Absolutely. Much like you, make sure that you are documenting. Make sure you're taking the proper channels and make sure that someone outside of your work knows what is going on so that, they can advocate on your behalf as well. So having those outlets outside of work and making others aware of what's going on as well. And that documentation is definitely going to save you from that he said, she said type of back and forth. So I agree with you. Definitely document. And I think it's important for you to know when to get up from the table. Okay? And when it's time to leave and it's time to shift gears and it's time to do something different. So let's toast to all the Black women out there that are navigating these corporate spaces. And we truly need you here. And we hear you, we see you, and we feel you.
Again, we hear you, we see you, and we empathize with you, because this is not just solely your story. This is all of our story. So you do have a community that is able to be here with you in union as you navigate through this space of uncertainty. So cheers to you.
Cheers to that.